Anyway, we'll see what
Good.
happens. Okay. So, uh, Nick, do you wanna start?
I can, sure.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Just to recap, I have the daily chart up there, and just pointing out a couple of things. I have a long profile that started um, in October of 20, where we made this little minor low that's back here, and the point of control is still down here at 96, but there has been a nice build of point of control at this 37.96 area. And this is the clearest definition on the day time frame of slicing the previous point of control.
Hmm.
It gapped right through it, and on the day time frame, you're creating a gap at the point where everybody was accepting prices 6 days ago.
Right.
So, in the bigger picture scheme of things, just maintaining anything above this 37.95 area has got to be considered long-term bullish, and this has got to, you got to. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the bull side of the market. Um, Even though I struggle with that on a fundamental level, I have to go with the momentum, and so everything I'm going to be doing is keeping that in mind and looking for um, continuation of this upward move. Now, I haven't completely finished my zones for today, but the idea would be is that this breakout initially, at least in the next day or so, should hold the upper levels. A retest of 3,800 from the upside is really not out of the cards over the next week or so. But I'm just talking about today. And today we have the overnight point of control is very prominent. And the point of control from yesterday is very prominent. And I looked at that too on something else I wanted to show you. Let me just pull up this other chart because we were using this a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to just mention it now. It's the larger picture volume scope chart. And, this is the close of yesterday. These red dots indicate a bar that was formed on the upswing, but ended with negative delta. So there was a tremendous amount of negative delta that went into the market. In other words, a seller, a position coming off, something, I don't know what. And it's represented right here in this particular area where this is negative delta over positive delta during that price swing. So that area is the overnight low, which is around 38.40. And, staying above this area, you have to give, again, benefit of the doubt to the bull side, I think, until we see an impulse lower or something else through that particular area. And that's where I've developed this initial support area for today. Now, yesterday we had a couple, because it was a trend day, there's a couple of LVNs, there's a couple of single prints way down here, all of which I think is going to be tested, but probably not today. So my initial game plan is to try to get in on some sort of a consolidated pullback into different areas of support. Just pulling on my pen right now. I just want to show you what I'm meeting is. I think we're going to get some level of support in and around this consolidation area. This is where the zone is built. Something that looks like that would not surprise me, and then kind of coming back in and balancing in this upper end range. We've had three days up in a row where we opened higher out of range. Two, I should say, including today would be three if we actually do open higher out of range, which we're on the verge of doing. Typically, that's exhaustive, and so I'm just going to look for more of a balanced consolidation type of day, but leaning on the bull side. Now, the bearish scenario, anything bearish would break this particular level right here. And I think we would come down and come into this balance breakout area, which is about the 38.15 to 38.17. Barring any kind of news, this area is likely to hold on first test. So again, I would expect something that would kind of wiggle around into here, push in maybe hard, and then get a V bounce like this. And then whatever it does afterwards would either be balancing in this upper range, but I would expect some sort of a big rejection off of this area. So those are the key things. If you don't get these things, obviously something else is going on. And yesterday, I want to just pull up one other quick thing here. Yesterday we had a very big move in the large cap stocks, and the big nifty, 50 or 5 or whatever it is, and you can see that represented in this chart here. These are the FANG stocks in a particular move. So this is the March low of 20, and this is the push, and this is just amazingly higher. So in order for this to really be like, if we get into some real selling, you should see selling come into this particular group. So I'm going to be watching this group. This is Tesla, Facebook, this is Netflix, this is Google, but all of those stocks on the day time frame really broke out, specifically like Google. Look at this. It balanced here and broke to all-time new highs in Google. I mean, that's a huge move in a big cap name. And I think it might be showing us that there's a lot of new money flow into our old names. So that's why leaning on the bull side until I see differently.
It looks like the melt up is underway, man.
Yeah, it does feel like that at times.
It really does. Just it's nonsensical. The new money investment into no pullback is like fundamentally makes it makes bad. It's
Well,
trouble.
if you really think about it, Josh, it makes perfect sense, because if you really think about how the markets work, people are way more likely to buy something moving up than going down.
Mm.
They don't want to buy stocks that are going down. They want to buy stocks that are going up. It's just the FOMO, it's the greed, it's the whatever. But the more emotional trade is to the buy side today, and so that's why it's happening, I think.
So just to cover just to recap your setup, and I think in terms of intentionality, I don't think we're too far away from each other. You are waiting for some pullback consolidation, and I don't mean that in terms of a move. I mean that as in the higher time frame, you're looking for a pullback, consolidation at support, and a push higher, and you're going to look to join the higher side uh, before you prefer sort of shorting in the hole of any kind.
Correct.
Okay,
And
that's
and
yeah.
one of my favorite type of trade setups is one that could be setting up right now, which is when we cross the mid, right? So the mid today in the ETH session is right about here, okay? And it would be really interesting if we come back in here, and I'm just going to take off some of these lines because it's a setup that really is one that kind of it could be working here. If we get this kind of stuff today, like where we push in and it looks scary and it looks like it's going to come across and it looks like it's going to break, and then all of a sudden you get this kind of a move here and you push through the mid on the ETH session, which is going to be a little bit lower if we push lower down in here and break the lows. So it'll be somewhere in and about here, okay? Get this kind of a move and then a pullback, I'm going to join that on the bull side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be joining that on the bull side, and I'm going to be looking for that target initially and something above that just on a range extension. And this way, I don't have to buy in the hole, right? I can wait for the buyers to show up, and I can see that their intention is big enough to push through the mid, and then I can join that group. And that is, to me, I hate buying on this kind of a pullback.
Yeah.
Because it always seems to me that you go like this and you balance and you feel like you're safe, and then it goes boop, you get stopped out, and then it goes like this, and you feel like you're safe, and you do it again, and it goes boop. It's
Yeah,
like
no, I agree with you, and that's for me that's the hard, although I don't mind buying, that's one of the hardest ones to get aboard for me because by the time it seems like it's ready to go, your risk is maybe near triple what you'd want it to be on a typical trade.
right, right. So I'm going to look for more of a consolidation, an impulse, and get aboard the impulse.
Okay, cool. Tell me if you can see my screen. I think I shared
Okay,
the correct one. Now you should be looking at my three charts. Is that right?
three charts.
Okay. All right. So just I'll do briefly because a lot of what you said is basically the same place that I'm at. So we resume the breakout of the channel, this upward price channel. This yellow one is what it means is that it's a narrow range day, and but that was
What's the time frame?
this
What
is a
is
day.
this daily?
Yeah, just a day time frame.
Okay.
That was just our holiday. So then we opened higher, we broke back into the channel, and as of we talked about Nick about our plans basically worked as expected, and the fact that we've rallied up through here it was sort of a day later than I expected it to happen, but there it is nonetheless. So higher time frame, although I'm not writing it out like you do, higher time frame definitely bullish. We're challenging the highs, challenging the all-time new highs, and that's the same attitude I have towards today. Now, the big thing that I want to point out is that, or a few things that I want to point out. Let me get rid of that. Is that we built this consolidation area, we tested down through it, we came up to the middle, we expected it to drop, it didn't, and then it zipped through. And so now we've got a situation where we're consolidated at the very top. And this is something that's important to me. So on my day time frame, what I see is we have this price channel, or excuse me, a couple things I actually want to break down here. Number one, we have this consolidation area before where we expected it to come in and test in and then drop. Well, it tested in, it dropped, consolidated outside of the channel, and then when that failed, we ripped right back through it the other direction. And we are now at the very top of balance. So that's all by itself an interesting thing. What this also tells me is that because we're at the very top of this higher time frame balance area, that we could see sellers. Well, more than likely, what we're going to see is a lack of buyers that don't want to buy the very top of a balance area. So they're going to wait for some sort of pullback, which actually happened, which is starting to happen right now. As I break this down a little bit and get you what the profile looks like, you see you're pulling back to the point of control of yesterday or thereabouts, and the profile point of control of this balance area here and it's testing into that area, looking for buyers ostensibly. So basically, I have three main ideas that I'm looking for. The very first one is balance. So as I look at what I'm wanting to do, and the impulse of yesterday, and what this profile actually looks like, this profile looks to me to be not supportive of a strong bull move um, on the day. Now, maybe we get something right at the open because we're at the very bottom. I don't know. I mean, who the heck knows? The markets are wild at times. But what I'm basically expecting based on what happened yesterday and this profile is for us to see balance. And what that would end up looking like is I don't really want to see balancing below this price channel and see lowering delta, see delta imbalances, three stooges to the downside. I don't want to see that because if I see that, then I'm going to start to think, well, the buyers they still don't think even that's a good enough price. So what that means is that we're going to go even further. And the reason I'm focused on buyers not thinking it's a good enough price versus sellers having control is because this is a bull market. I don't see how we can sort of go back play ping pong back and forth between whether or not sellers are in control, buyers are in control. There's just no question about that. At least as far
They
as
wouldn't have been able to push. They wouldn't have been able to push through that giant consolidation that you showed on the first chart if buyers weren't in control. They
yes,
would have stopped somewhere in the middle
yeah.
and pushed away
So
the
sellers
sellers.
are taking advantage of profit taking and high time frame structures and all those kinds of things. Well, we're at a high time frame structure, which means seller buyers could back off, and they don't. It doesn't seem to me that they care how far it pulls back. It really just does not seem to me that they care. Somehow they all coordinate and figure out where they're going to buy, and then they buy, and you get stuff like this where breakdowns should happen and then they don't, and it just goes. So anyway, long story short, I could see us, wandering all the way down here on a return to balance scenario. Actually, I'm jumping out of order, so let me stay in order. First thing I'm expecting is that we stop here and then we roll back to the top. We break up a new high of day, and then we just go into balance. Day's over basically at that point. The second thing I would expect to happen is that we attempt to get up, and that doesn't work. We return to balance, and then what we start to see is pretty fast move down to the top of this balance area where all of this volume was left, and somewhere most likely in this KLVN or the backside of balance or something like, or the top side of this balance or the backside of this here. You'll see the buyers come in, shake out people, take it, and then roll it back up. This would be the longer view of that idea, which means that we don't hold, we push down, and then we end up somehow balancing between this area like that. Leaving balance is the least likely scenario in my view, but we're still set up for it. And what that would look like is that we consolidate, we really fight this area right here, or we immediately rip through the overnight high. If either of those two scenarios go, then I think you could see another sort of trend looking day today based on the fact that there just isn't any participation on the sell side, and the buyers have decided that they want to take it higher, and breaking the overnight high without any real consolidation, um, or without any real fighting, I mean, could be an early indication of that. So long story short, I'm favoring the bull side, but I would not be afraid to take a short if we tried to push up and failed to make any real progress, and the delta demonstrated it, because what it tells me is that we're likely to get pushed down a little further before we find buyers. But I'm favoring the long side as well, as far as everything that I want to see. I'm trying now. One other personal note: I am trying to. Oh, that was, yeah. Thank you. I just saw that. So this is the other thing I actually want to talk to you about, Nick.
Mm.
What this looks to me like is, you see how this channel has held, it kind of broke down, and then now it's like, what is the channel doing? It isn't really testing itself. It's just sort of slow drifting up. Tried to test, and then a brand new high, and then now we're back at it. And so this is the one piece of information that makes you go, hmm, why why is it just kind of drifting? Even if you look at this profile, and I'm gonna go back to it, and I'm not saying like I've got any secret sauce here, but even if you look at this profile, it doesn't look right. Kind of looks like we kicked your ass, and then we just kind of, meh, meh, don't really care.
It doesn't look that way on ES. I mean, ES has really pushed through
No, it
farther than in
has.
the
I mean,
past.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the nuance difference here, where I'm going, what? That is so interesting. So I'm a little suspicious of the fast early long. I really am. Just because of this slow drift. What this really just looks like, a slow drift. It doesn't look like a consolidation pullback rip higher. It just looks like we whooped, we pulled back a little bit, and then we just kind of drifted up, and then started consolidating right at the very high. Uh, and if I had a suspicion, it's what I already said. I think the buyers just want a better price than this, and so they're not really focused on trying to drive it higher from the high.
Mm. And and here's the other thing I want to say, because I think this is really important for us to kind of focus on. I, I'm I'm really not looking to try to figure out what the markets are going to do. I'm really focused on the day time frame to find out what I want to do. Because in this environment where the markets are doing exactly what you said, doing a little bit of inconsistencies and weird looking stuff to me, I'm just not going to participate.
Hmm.
I'm just going to wait.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm very happy. I mean, I never used to be like this, and that's why I'm pointing it out and mentioning it. I always felt like I had to be a part of every move. I do not feel that way anymore.
Right.
If the markets are going to drift along and do this whole thing, and even if they're going to just start to rally higher and my setups just don't look right, I'm not taking them. I'll just wait.
Yeah, I'm completely there with you. So at the opening of this, when I got here, right around this time frame, there's only one other thing I really wanted to point out that involves this chart and the news. There was positive news this morning: lower jobs, higher Philly Fed, blah 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 blah, and we sold off as a result of it. So that's a little odd. But then we also had a bimodal um, market here. So what that tells me, and as you sort of look back, is you have really two auctions that are going on here, and you see this auction here, and you see this auction here, and then this auction produced what you have to assume now because of what's played out. This is an upthrust. That means there weren't enough buyers to hold that up, and whoever the composite seller here was said, "Fuck you," and took it all back. Said that's cool. And now they've done the same thing to the downside. Now, what I'm really conscious of and aware of is that because they've done that, what I'm looking for is us to test up and then rip right through. If the Bulls are in control, that's exactly what should happen. Exactly what happened here should happen here. I say should. It's what I'm looking for. Now, if that doesn't happen, if we come back up here and it's like, that's not good, then I'm expecting us to fall into this value area high and test into it, and perhaps get across it, maybe not. But we are now open. We're going to most likely open imbalance to the downside. So I'm expecting a quick battle at the very open, and then a decided move right after that. That's going to probably maintain our direction at least until the London close. So if I again, I'm going to take what it gives me. I'm not trying to say it has to do what I want it to do, but just looking at this profile, I say number one, there's two auctions. Number two, we're balanced. So that supports my theory here. If I'm going to be balanced and I'm going to try and take an outside in trade to the long side, then what I really need to see is the sellers come in, try and push it down and get stuffed. That's what I have to see in order for me to want to join along. Otherwise, we don't have enough buyers yet to go back across value, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
And then the key for me today is go slow.
Yeah. You're just getting back,
Yeah, I'm
so
just getting back. If
you
I only take one trade, if
you
I don't take any trades, it's fine. I'm just getting back. I got to make sure I even remember my freaking shortcuts.
remember how to click?
I You got a manual? I mean, I've been off a month. I've been off a freaking month. So,
Yeah.
anyways, is
Hey,
that it?
dude. Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
All right, man. We'll talk to you.
See ya.